Good day, Angie 2D. Let's take a look here at some themes coming through in the play Macbeth. So here is a theme analysis chart. If you have the study guide, this should be located at the end of that study guide. If you do not, the chart itself has been posted to Edsby. So please download that as best you can. If you do not have a printer, just make sure that you are taking these notes down somewhere, okay? On a separate sheet of paper is fine. All right, so you're going to examine the following by making your own observations in chart form. Point form is fine. Locate examples and provide citations. So because I'm going to try and hurry this along, and this is our last week here of focused study, I'm going to just go ahead, give you the answers here, and give a lesson as I am relaying these answers to you. Now, theme, again, if you recall, is the overall message to the reader. Some people say that it is, a main idea coming through, and it certainly is. However, this idea that it is the overall message to the reader is, I think, an easy definition to remember. So essentially, what we're going to take a look at is some messages that are coming through in this play. We're going to take a look at 8 themes or messages coming through from the author. Now, are there more? There certainly are. There are lots of messages. But in my opinion, these are the ones that are the major messages coming through. The major, messages. There are many minor messages coming through as well. Now, one thing I do want to point out is many give one-word answers to themes. So they want to say kingship is the theme, or ambition is the theme. But in reality, one-word answers like this don't accurately reflect theme. Theme, to answer what the message is, it is, you must answer what about that particular word. So what about kingship? Or what about ambition? So what is the message about these things? So again, just keep them in the back of your mind as you make your way through your study of different texts in your high school careers and possibly in post-secondary as well. You may encounter people saying that these one-word answers are the theme, right? This is one theme coming through, but really, theme is a message about that topic. These things really are topics, and a message about these topics is the theme, right? Because theme is, of course, the overall message to the reader. So what about kingship? What about ambition, etc.? So as we take this up, you'll note that I have included an interpretation of the topic so that we have a message coming through. All right, so a true theme coming through. Okay, let's take a look here at kingship. Again, remember, what about kingship? Remember to consider all 4 kings: Duncan, Edward the Confessor, Macbeth, and Malcolm. All right, so firstly, here we have Duncan. We've already established he's a good, kind, respected king, right? Saintly even, Macduff says. However, we know that his fatal flaw, his hamartia, is that he's, too trusting and gullible in that way. He is also naive. This castle hath a pleasant seat, it says, really, but he's walking walking right to his death. So it is ironic. He is naive. He's too trusting. He should be suspicious and not allow himself to be vulnerable. As a king, you cannot take these chances. And as we know a little bit later on, we see that Malcolm shows himself to be much more balanced as far as trust goes. However, he is much loved and had many loyal friends. It's important to note here that we have a natural or legitimate king. As far as that chain of being goes, he was a natural king. Edward note here, a great king as well, fair and respected, not too trusting. He had some healing power and many loyal friends. So we'll note here that the natural kings, he too was a natural king, came to his kingship by natural means. They have loyal friends or subjects. Macbeth stands out as being quite different, right? He doesn't fit the kingship. And in fact, it's suggested that he is wearing borrowed or stolen robes. He's a thief. He's wearing these borrowed robes. He is not, of course, a natural king. So examining these characters, what we're really doing is examining natural kingship versus tyranny. Macbeth proves himself at the end, of course, to be a tyrant. He is brave and courageous at first, certainly. However, he is ambitious, too ambitious, right? Over-vaulting ambition. So he's overconfident and he's greedy. He is initially respected until his deeds become evident. And we see that he shows himself to be quite Machiavellian, right? He's willing to do whatever needs to be done in order to elevate himself to that position of king. Now, because he's willing to kill innocent people, that makes him evil. And we see that he spirals into evil deeds, right? He too at the end is too trusting of the witches. Malcolm here, let's finish this up though. He has no loyal followers or friends at the end. Of course, this is a comment on what happens if you are not a natural king, not a legitimate king, and if you choose to be a tyrant, right? Malcolm is again a natural king. He does demand respect, but he shows that he's not going to be too trusting. He's going to be, in fact, a good leader. He is honest, intelligent, and he builds allegiances, right? He goes and asks Edward the Confessor, the healer, for help. As a result of this, he has many loyal followers. It is a good conclusion to the play because we see that Malcolm brings balance into the chaos that was Scotland. Okay, so what might be the message about the topic kingship? Well, the message could be that a king must be a natural one, not too trusting or greedy. Yeah. So you must be a natural king if, peace is going to be established. And again, this is, of course, reflected in the chain of being, a ladder or hierarchy that was highly regarded and believed by the Elizabethans at the time. Let's take a look at the next topic or message, ambition. We've talked quite a bit, or we've discussed ambition quite a bit by a number of characters. List positive and negative features for both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. All right, let's start here with Macbeth. Now, at first, he is brave and cunning, and he has some good self-esteem. He's an opportunist, and he goes after what he wants. So these could be some good characteristics that are associated with his ambition. However, he has over-vaulting ambition, and that brings him into a malignant state of negative outcomes, right? So it leads to cruelty and heartlessness. He lacks any emotion by the end. He is too greedy, overconfident, and it leads him to become Machiavellian, yeah. And in fact, more than just Machiavellian, he becomes an immoral monster, right? Okay, so in fact, he will kill anyone now that gets in his way, innocent or not. Yeah. So he knows that Duncan is a good king, right? He even says it. I have no reason to actually kill him. It's just my over-vaulting ambition. So it leads Macbeth to betray his heart, this over-vaulting ambition, and greed takes over. Yeah. So it has a negative effect on him eventually, this overvaulting ambition. Now, Lady Macbeth, again, you could say that she has some ambition that might be on the more positive side. It helps her be organized. She is immoral, but it helps her husband achieve some great things. She's supportive, intelligent, and brave at first. She is heartless. However, I don't think she falls directly into evil as Macbeth does. She is Machiavellian at first, but her eyes are on the prize, right? She wants her husband to be king so that she can be queen. She, in fact, says, I would, while it was smiling in my face, talking about her baby, have plucked it from her breast and bashed the brains out. She eventually says, leave the rest to me. So at first, she appears like she's heartless. She can't, it breaks her in the end. She's not really as heartless, certainly as Macbeth proves himself to be. So again, this is just heartless and Machiavellian at the beginning. Eventually, though, she suffers greatly because of her ambition. It leads to insanity. The doctor suggests she's suffering from an illness that he cannot cure. It's a mental illness. Her conscience eventually weighs too heavily on her, right? And we know that she is washing her hands over and over again. She's experiencing flashbacks, and it leads to self-destruction, her suicide. Yeah. Okay, so what might be the message about this topic, ambition? Ambition that is out of balance leads to one's downfall. So you can see here that theme is actually the message about the topic. Okay, let's keep going here and take a look at page 2. Guilt. Guilt of both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. Let's take a look here at Macbeth first. At first, his emotions are kind of on. He feels guilt. He feels regret. He feels much more deeply at the beginning. Again, he is conflicted over the fact that he could not say amen. He suggests that at the end, after he murders Duncan, that he cannot wash the blood away. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No, this my hand would rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green ones red. My hand, I am so guilty, I have so much blood on my hand, that my hand will turn all the oceans red. There's so much blood that I cannot wash my guilt away. At the beginning here, we see that he is haunted by Banquo's ghost, and he feels guilty. In fact, he suggests that they will have no more. They'll talk no more of this bloody business of killing. Before he kills Banquo, he talks about, not wanting to go through with the killing of Duncan. At the end, though, his emotions have been turned off. Again, this could be a sign of extreme PTSD, right? People are emotionally detached. They are numb. They often feel nothing. They are self-centered. Again, he's quite self-centered at the end. The question is, do we think he is a psychopath, or do we think he's suffering from PTSD? Well, if he was a psychopath, there is a lot to suggest that, some people are born with this psychopathy, no remorse. However, at the beginning, he does have remorse. He acts like a psychopath near the end, certainly, but I don't think that there's enough guilt here to suggest that he is a true psychopath. I think it's more likely that he is suffering from extreme chronic PTSD, because by the end, he has experienced so much trauma that he just turns his emotions right off. No guilt or very little, and very little remorse. He is essentially a heartless, cruel monster. He kills innocent people, certainly by the end, right? That third great crime and the killing of Banquo prove it. Lady Macbeth here, at first, she asks for help in turning her emotions off. So she's a woman, a typical, well, I don't know what typical, but in some ways typical woman, feeling and nurturing. However, she asks the instruments of darkness to help turn off any feelings of emotion, turn off her womanly emotions. So she asks to become Machiavellian. She says she's going to feel no guilt, except for, of course, she's not nearly as strong emotionally as she thought she was. Except for her comment, of course, about Duncan resembling her father. So again, it shows that she believes that she is more cruel and capable than she eventually shows herself to be. At the end, however, she is not able to escape her emotions, even though she asks, for help in turning them off. At the end, they do her in. Her guilt overcomes her, right? She cannot wash the blood off her hands either. So she is sleepwalking. She relives the murder. Again, these are examples or characteristics certainly of PTSD, major PTSD. Yet who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him? She was ill prepared for the reality, right? It eventually leads to her committing suicide. She loses her mind. She is suffering clearly from some kind of mental illness. In addition, it looks like likely chronic and heavy-duty PTSD. So here we have the topic of guilt. What is the message about guilt? You cannot run away from guilt or your conscience. Eventually, it affects you. Sometimes it affects you and turns you into a heartless monster. Sometimes you can't overcome it and it ends up leading to some mental illness, right? Okay, order. So again, it's very difficult to understand what's really going on here in Macbeth, the play, without understanding the chain of being. So again here, consider how nature appears to react to unnatural deeds, the gradual disintegration of political and personal relationships, and how order is restored by time. So again, we know Macbeth disrupted the natural order by killing the king, someone higher than he is. He is reaching above his station in life. So the night Duncan is killed, the horses go wild, right? Ross and the old man are discussing how strange things are going on in the environment, and we know that this happens, or we know that the Elizabethans, the Jacobeans, believed this to be true. 'Tis unnatural, even like the deed that's done. On Tuesday last, a falcon, towering in her place of pride, was by a mousing owl hawked at and killed. So the falcon here is much bigger and stronger. On that chain of being, the falcon is located much higher on that ladder, on that hierarchy, than an owl. Yet, very strangely, this owl was able to kill this falcon. So again, this parallels how Macbeth, somebody lower on the chain of being, is able to kill somebody higher on that chain of being, right? So this is like symbolism. And of course, because the natural, chain of being has been disrupted, we see that that's reflected in nature. The earth did shake, the night did shake, there were earthquakes, right? As a result. Okay, so the mousing owl kills the falcon, and as I said, it parallels Macbeth killing Duncan, which is a breach of nature. Now, because nature has been breached, has been disrupted, it ends up creating a disintegration of not just the political situation, right, what's going on in Scotland politically, but lots of personal relationships, go into chaos as well. All right, so by the end, Macbeth has this moment of anagnorisis, right, where he realizes how his own decisions and actions have directly led to his current situation. He has no friends. He has no loyal followers left. And he says, I have lived long enough. My way of life has fallen into the sear. The yellow leaf and that which should accompany old age as honor, love, obedience, troops of friends, I must not look to have. So again, he is realizing how his choices and decisions have led to his current situation. Anagnorisis. Yeah. Okay, so Macbeth is not the rightful king. He obtained the throne in an unnatural way, fueled by this ambition, right? We suggested before that ambition, of course, is his hamartia, his hamartia, his fatal flaw. Malcolm is the rightful natural heir who claims it after Macbeth dies. So we see the rightful king on the throne, right? The rightful king, order is restored when Macduff kills Macbeth and Malcolm is crowned king at Scone, right? The time is free. So the rightful king is on the throne, which means that the natural order of things is reestablished. The Prince of Cumberland, who is the natural heir, is on that throne. What is the message about this topic, order? Well, the message is, for the people at this time, that when the natural order is disrupted, the chain of being must be respected or chaos is the result. So definitely the message for those Elizabethans is to respect that chain of being. Let's take a look here at the fifth topic, deceptive appearances. Now, of course, we know that this represents this, this theme or a message about appearance versus reality. Now, the witches establish this theme right near the beginning. They announce that fair is foul and foul is fair. The witches' predictions appear to be fair for Macbeth, yet they are not. They are giving him half-truths, equivocation, right? Another example of this, stars hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires. All right, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth appear to be innocent of Duncan's murder at the beginning, right? They, of course, appear to be kind hosts. They were sleeping when all this happened, except for, the mistake that Macbeth makes when he admits to killing the guards, which does not make any sense, right? And as a result of that, of course, Lady Macbeth has to faint and take the pressure, but certainly take all eyes off of the ridiculousness of, what he admits. False appearance must hide the false heart. So again, she says, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. Lady Macbeth appears to be more heartless at the beginning, and Macbeth appears to be more emotional. Now again, this is at the beginning, right? How they appear to be, though, is not. In reality, they switch places, right? So what appears to be is not reality. Malcolm and Donalbain and Duncan's bodyguards appear to be guilty of regicide. Again, regicide here is killing of a king, Duncan, and of parricide for Malcolm and Donalbain, which is the killing of a father. So they appear to be murderers or somehow related, yet it's not reality. The appearance is not reality. Again, several prophecies here. These last three adding to deception. Beware Macduff, no one born of women may harm thee, and never vanquished be until Birnam Wood comes to high Dunsinane Hill. Right? So these prophecies give Macbeth security that nothing can harm him. And does he fall for it? You bet. It is equivocation. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. So this appears to be fair and true, but it is not. It is equivocation, half-truths. Poor Duncan here built an absolute trust on the original Thane of Cawdor, yet he was a traitor. So he proves himself here to be too trusting of this first Thane of Cawdor at the beginning. And unfortunately for him, he was too trusting of the second Thane of Cawdor as well, Macbeth. Macbeth sees or imagines, depending on the director, does he really see Banquo's ghost or does he imagine it? What about the dagger? Is it real or not? Regardless, these are examples of appearance versus reality. Is this a dagger which I see before me? Is it? It appears that Birnam Wood is moving. It's not. The forest hasn't grown feet, so it's not really moving. The forest isn't moving. However, it appears that it is. It appears to Macbeth, certainly, that all men are born of women, except, of course, we find out at the end that Macduff says, "Despair thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped." Again, suggesting that he likely was born of cesarean, technically not being born through the birth canal, right? And so, of course, is able to take his revenge on his nemesis. Now, again, it appears to be that all men are born of women, except for, of course, it's a half-truth. So what is the message coming through about this topic? Deceptive appearances. Sometimes things that appear good might not be. You shouldn't be so confident or arrogant, right? At all. And again, we see that Malcolm shows himself to be a balanced king, right? He is going to investigate what appears to be true by testing things. This second topic here, fathers and sons. Consider the play's 4 father-son relationships, but also the significance of the fact that Macbeth has no son. Okay, so taking a look here at Duncan. Of course, his sons Malcolm and Donalbain are the natural heirs to the throne. The natural order is restored as Malcolm takes the throne, right? Banquo has a son, Fleance. That is part of the prophecy as well, that his sons would be kings, still alive. Banquo, of course, is killed, yet his son Fleance escapes. And again, the significance there is that it's like a tip of the hat of respect to King James, who is said to have been a direct descendant of Fleance and, of course, of Banquo. So proving, or somewhat suggesting anyways, that yes, this line of kings that the witches talked about, that he would father a line of kings, is true. Siward, the general of the English army, had young Siward, right? Macbeth, however, killed this innocent child, proving again what a monster he has spiraled into. And in addition to that, it's not just that he kills this innocent child, it makes him feel good. It fuels his belief that he has a charmed life, that no one can kill him. For Siward, it is of great importance to note that his son died bravely. Macduff's son, brutally murdered by Macbeth again in his 3rd great crime, proving that he has sunk into a new low, that he is indeed a monster, Macbeth. And again, he actually feels good about this brutal slaying at first as well. When he comes face to face with Macduff, though, he has a little blip where he says, "Oh, I have too much of your blood on my hands already." He suggests that that is true without very much emotion, though. Yeah. Now, all of these people have sons, right? And are able to act unselfishly and empathetically and caring, with lots of caring for their sons, right? Although they may have made some mistakes about their sons and their families, they are able to feel and care and love and mourn, right? Macbeth, it is significant that Macbeth has no sons, right? And Macbeth even says it, look, I need to feel the loss of my family because I am a man. That makes me a real man, that I take the time to feel this. And he suggests, that Macbeth is a monster in that he has no sons. He does not understand what it's like. So what is the message coming through, or a message about father and sons? Well, the message could be that children contribute to unselfishness and true empathy and caring. The fact that Macbeth has no sons means that he is able to be much more self-serving. He wouldn't be taking the chances he did if he had an heir to the throne, somebody that he could love and care and worry about. He does not. He does not. Let's keep going here. The last two themes that we're going to take a look at. A theme or some message about sleep. Macbeth, from almost the beginning here, after he murders Duncan, Macbeth has taken away the innocence of sleep by murdering Duncan while he was asleep. Methought I heard a voice say that Macbeth shall sleep no more. He feels guilty. Right at the beginning, he still has access to his feelings. He has murdered sleep. He realizes this is going to be, it is traumatic for him, right? Now, of course, we know that lack of sleep and insomnia is a symptom of PTSD, right? So the fact that he has traumatized himself by killing his king and his relative, it's understandable, it's reasonable that he would have trouble sleeping, right? Because he's been so traumatized by it, likely. Everyone else is wakened by the news of Duncan's murder. I, however, shall sleep no more. I have killed innocent sleep. So again, suggesting from this point on, he will have difficulty sleeping. Now, it's not just Macbeth that has difficulty sleeping and experiences insomnia, likely brought on by, extreme PTSD. Lady Macbeth has difficulty sleeping as well. She can't have a restful sleep. She sleepwalks, she replays events, likely flashbacks, she talks in her sleep. She is going insane. Yes, for sure. Now, what might be a message about this topic, sleep? If one wants a peaceful sleep, one must not do evil deeds that disrupt the natural order of things. So this could definitely be a message coming through to the Elizabethans about the Jacobeans, about sleep. In other words, sleeping is a natural state. When the natural order is disrupted, one cannot sleep. So again, that's reasonable that these two individuals or characters are having difficulty with getting a good night's rest. It is the result of the chain of being disrupted. Okay, let's take a look at the last major theme coming through in this play, and it's about loyalty and patriotism. Let's take a look at a couple of examples of both loyalty and patriotism. Here we have Macduff, who is loyal to Duncan and to Malcolm, right? He's loyal to the natural kings. Now, at first, it appears that he is a traitor, and his wife even, contemplates that. Was my husband a traitor? Yes, he was, son. He placed his family in danger for his country. So this is suggesting that Macduff, if he had to choose between his family and his country, he chose his country. It shows in some ways that he is thinking about the betterment of all over the betterment of himself. He is willing to sacrifice his own family so that the whole country can be healed. So again, the idea that patriotism before family. I don't think he left his family there realizing consciously what would happen to them. I think he was probably in a state of PTSD himself, some trauma himself. He does eventually rid Scotland finally of the tyrant Macbeth, but he certainly risks his life. He is loyal to his country, for sure. Lady Macbeth proves that she is loyal to Macbeth, right? She never betrays his trust, certainly not consciously anyways. Macbeth, loyal to Duncan before the prophecies, right? And then he has this evil influence of the witches, which allows his greed or his ambition, right? His fatal flaw here, ambition, to lead to his downfall or his demise. Macbeth, not loyal to his friends after his first murder, of course. Each subsequent one is easier and easier. In fact, he commits 3 great crimes, right? The killing of Duncan, the killing of his friend Banquo, and then, of course, the killing of the innocent family of Macduff. He kills his friends and innocent women and children and has, in the end, no one loyal to him. Duncan's sons are loyal to him, right? Their father. They fight to avenge his murder, even if it makes them look like they are guilty. They still are loyal and fight for their father. Now, the nobles of Scotland eventually join Macduff and they fight against Macbeth. They put themselves in the situation of becoming traitors. Now, again, they are only traitors to an unnatural king. They are still loyal to the natural king, the legitimate king, right? Now, some men do stay to defend the castle, the Dunsinane Castle, in the name of Scotland, but they don't stay out of respect for Macbeth, right? And eventually, everybody leaves, and everyone, they defect to the other side, right? To help what looks like the invaders, but they represent the natural king, Malcolm. Ross says, alas, poor country, dying or ere they sicken. So my country is dying or, has a disease from this disease that is Macbeth. It is, brought on by the tyrant. So what message might be coming through by all of these examples and some more? Well, what comes around goes around, right? Be loyal and patriotic to the natural king, and that will lead to peace. All right. Now, from this point on, we will be working on finishing a unit test. I'm going to try and open up that test for tomorrow, for Tuesday, and I'm going to give you a few days, 2 or 3 days at least, to finish up on that unit test. So the timeline of that is going to be significantly longer than the quizzes. This is a really good opportunity for you to increase your final mark. Right, again, take note that your final mark will be based on most recent, most consistent mark. Some of your lower marks are going to fall away if you have a higher consistent mark. And in addition to that, note that if your final mark here is lower than your mark at just before midterm, the higher of the 2 marks is the one that gets recorded. I wouldn't give up right now, though. I think it's worth your effort to write this final unit test and allow yourself an opportunity to bring your mark up. Again, this unit test is going to be more heavily weighted. And again, if you get like a 98 on it, it's going to significantly raise your mark. So my message to you is take this opportunity to write this unit test. You have 2 or 3 days, likely 3 days. I'm going to give you until Thursday, probably Thursday at 11 o'clock, to finish the unit test, which means you have a significant amount of time to go through all your notes and find the answers that you need. You can double check them. All right, if you have any questions though, please do not hesitate to contact me via Edsby messaging. Good luck, folks.